Next thing we're going to cover is Elon Musk and this Doge thing, because this was a lie too, ladies and gentlemen. They came in, they said they was going to trim the fat and all that, and they wound up spending more than what they did. And because of them and the US ID, ladies and gentlemen, we are more vulnerable right now to all kinds of domestic attacks from terror than we've ever been because of the jobs that they cut. And I do believe this is by design, because Trump is looking for anything to hold up those midterms. And I do believe that they're wanting someone to come in here and attack us. But right now, we're going to attack them and let you guys know just how dumb they are. As I just told E-Man, people don't have no critical thinking skills. And you can tell because this is a guy that was interviewed who worked for Doge by a lawyer that worked at Doge, cannot tell you what the hell DEI means. Take a listen to how this dude is squirming like a snake under a rock. Listen to this.
Now, do you have an understanding of what DEI is?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your understanding as you sit here today in this deposition?
Well, it was exactly what was written in the EO. And so anytime that we would look at a grant through the lens of complying with an executive order, we would just refer back to the EO and assess if this grant had relation to it.
Okay, but I guess I'm stepping back from your methodology strictly in terminating the grants. Do you have an understanding as you sit here today of what DEI means?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your understanding of what it means?
Well, it is exactly what was written in the EO.
Okay, so
and I don't have the EO in front of me, but that was we would always reference back to the EO and make sure that this grant was in compliance with the EO.
I understand that. Okay, but I'm not asking necessarily about what was in the EO. I'm asking very specifically about your present understanding of what of DEI. Do you have a present understanding of DEI?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain what that present understanding is?
Well, it is just easier for me to be referencing back to the EO. It is not for the benefit. It is not for the benefit of humankind. It is focused on a specific group of, or a specific race. Here being black.
Why would learning about anti-black violence not be to the benefit of humankind?
Objection.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, then what are you saying?
I'm saying it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion.
You said it's not to the benefit of humankind, right?
Is that what I said?
Yeah. Folks, I'm not laughing because it's actually, I'm laughing because this is what I'm talking about. White dudes, DEI for them, didn't earn the shit. He couldn't even tell you what the acronym meant. Then he wanted to put DEI all on black people, which is not just about black people, ladies and gentlemen. Then he wanted to try to humanize it by saying humankind. But this are your incel QAnon folks who sit in fucking bubbles and talk to each other about how they think black people, brown people, women are stealing everything from them and how they can't get laid. Having said that, E-Man, I give the floor to you because I could go off on this dude and that Supercuts #7 fucking haircut, but I give the floor to you. I give the floor to you for right now.
I mean, listen, this is, in philosophy, there's this thing called a straw man argument. And a straw man argument is typically when you take the opposition's position and you don't frame it correctly, you create a whole different argument that's easier for you to defeat. Like it's like punching a straw man, right?
Yeah.
So what the GOP and far right MAGA folks have done is contorted this idea that DEI, and this is also what Charlie Kirk was referring to as he disingenuously did this too. They tried to redefine DEI as some sort of effort to hire people not based on merit, but only based off of gender or skin color or race. And that has never been the actual definition. But think about it. If you use that distorted definition, that does sound bad, right? But the problem is no one actually does that. That's not something that happens. So, for example, when Charlie Kirk used to sit here and talk about, boy, I'd be concerned if my pilot was black, because his assumption is that a black pilot would have gotten the job without actually earning it, that's racism. Because last time I checked, and I actually have friends that are pilots, you don't become a pilot unless you pass the tests. You can't even get in the cockpit unless you pass the test. You get your hours, you get your credentials. You can't get there. It doesn't matter what you look like. If you don't have the credentials, you can't sit in that seat. So the mere fact that you even assume that someone who's in that seat, who again can't get there without their credentials and merit, that leads the only conclusion of racism. So this whole idea of DEI being merit-based or lack thereof, it stems from misogyny, it stems from sexism, it stems from racism, it stems from all different forms of bigotry. Because last I checked, have you seen any effort put into legacies at universities? They came after DEI when it came to affirmative action. Oh, you can't put people in because of race and ethnicity. No. But I ain't heard them say 2 words about legacy admissions, where basically, if your daddy went here, if they gave a whole bunch of money and stuff, you get to come in too. Doesn't matter what your score is. Doesn't matter if you're a dimwit. It's cool. We'll give you that kind of affirmative action. And let's be honest, the people that benefits are usually rich, white, and usually male. So this fact that he doesn't or can't, I wouldn't even say can't, he can define what DEI is. He refuses to do it because it would be an admission that he's actually racist. Because if you look at just the words, and I tell people this all the time, if you want to have a conversation about DEI, tell me what the letters stand for. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. What is the opposite of those words? The opposite of diversity is just
division.
You just want one type of person, right?
Yep.
So it's isolation where you're not having any of that. The opposite of equity. Equity basically means we want everything to be fair for everyone. We want fair opportunities given to everybody, fair access. Well, if you want the opposite of equity, then you don't want fairness, right?
And they don't want that.
Yeah,
and they don't want it.
If you don't want inclusion, which is basically saying, hey, everybody's welcome, you're all able to sit at the table, that's exclusion. So you want to exclude people, you only want to have one type of person, and you don't want it to be fair.
Nope.
That's what the opposite of DEI is. So when you are anti-DEI, you are basically saying, I want one type of person, nobody else, and it doesn't have to be fair. That's what I want. And let's be honest, that goes right back to being racist, sexist, and bigoted. So,
and it also goes right back to being the GOP, because that's what
GOP right now. That's their position. They hate DEI.
And Stephen Miller has came out and said he wants to eradicate he wants to get the American population down to about 100,000 people, because they want to stay in control of the goods and services. They want to be on top. They want to be made to feel special. And if you get rid of some of these people, they can keep that position of privilege. By saying all those things, E-Man, you just basically said what he didn't want to say. They know good and damn well they're privileged. They know it. And I always tell people who say, well, DEI this, DEI that, I always do the same thing you did. Do you know what DEI means? Or is that just a pejorative now too? Do you know what the acronym stands? Do you even know it's an acronym? One dude told me DEI was a DUI. I was like, dude, they're not the same thing. One means you're driving under influences. The other one is diversity, equity, and inclusion. You nitwit. You're the problem why we need better education in schools, period. And that's what this comes down to. Critical thinking, education, and wanting things to be fair and equitable for everybody. And there is a slice of society that know that they have white privilege, because they'll be quick to tell you there's no such thing as white privilege, but they quick to fight for it. They quick to fight to keep that position of privilege, but they'll tell you that it doesn't exist. And so, folks, let us know what you think. Not to mention, man, how this Doge front got all these people's, it's got everybody's information. Trump is just using technology geeks that supported him as a slush fund, enriching everybody. And as we said this whole entire show, some Democrats is going to have to get in this office and have the balls to take them down. I'm about 70% sure everybody that paid this money to help Trump is in them Epstein files, and they got shit that they don't want to come out. They do. And that's why you seen Elon Musk up there jumping like a little girl who just lost her virginity, up there cackling and squinting around. Look, bruh, sit your ass down somewhere, bro. Get off that ketamine. But anyway, folks, let us know what you think. This man didn't know what DEI was. And the fact that me and E-Man have to defend what DEI stands for is the epitome of a nation losing its education.